What's up, guys? Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Hopefully, everyone can hear me okay. If I can get a quick sound check for those of you in the comments, just to let me know y'all can hear me. All right. I see a few folks already in here. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Tran is actually on his way, so he will be jumping into the chat to talk some Longhorn football and whatnot. So y'all just chime in. Let me know if y'all can hear me all right. Peter, Connor, Darius, Taylor said it sounds good. Connor said it sounds good. So lots of stuff going on. I know it's been a week since I've recorded any content coming off of the Chuba Hubbard, Mike Gundy video. We've had, the Eyes of Texas going on. Somebody said I actually got a notification. That's hilarious. We've had the Eyes of Texas going on. We've had, the social conversations. We've had the COVID, testing, all the things that are going on in the landscape of Texas Longhorn football, in the landscape of college football, in the landscape of sports. So, whatever you guys want to discuss tonight, I'm ready to dive in. Obviously, the big news today, Anthony Cook entering the transfer portal, that has been confirmed. Eric Nolin and what's his name, Justin Wells from Inside Texas, confirming that Anthony Cook has entered the portal. So we're going to discuss all that. Brother Tran, whoa, what is that in the back? Got Big Bro's jersey up there?
Yeah, he let me have it for a little bit, and we're waiting for the other jerseys to be framed perfectly, so we'll be good.
I
How you doing,
love
buddy?
it. I'm doing well. Welcome, brother. Welcome. We're just hanging out right now, just doing a quick intro as everybody is jumping in. So much to discuss, man. I'm actually, guys, first off, let me tell you where I am. I'm actually in Arlington, Texas. I'm not in Austin right now. We have some stuff going on in our apartment. We have some friends up here in town. So spending the week up here with my wife's side of the family and just enjoying ourselves. So I don't have the normal setup, but we're mobile. Where are you? Because I don't think the people have seen this room before. I have, but
I'm in my kind of my game room, media room. I had to move up here because I talk too apparently I talk too loud to bother my wife, things like that.
Yeah, man, I know how it goes. My wife had to relocate to the living room. So, and she got more space. Now we're kind of working from home here in Arlington, but it's all been good. So I started off talking about Anthony Cook,
Mm-hmm.
and him entering the portal. I see some folks chiming in, already speculation on where he might end up, whether it's him going back to University of Houston, or if he re-ups with Jason Washington. I think he's over at Mississippi State now. I mean, whatever the move is. But Tran, since we got you on here, man, just your overall thoughts on the situation, starting from last week when we thought the brother was out, and then the next morning, looked like he was back in, he was going to show up, and now here we are, Anthony Cook in the transfer portal.
Yeah. So, definitely that's a big loss. I don't care what anyone says. I know there's some people out there like, oh, good riddance, we don't need him. I mean, you can't really replace a 4-star athlete just out of the blue. What wins championships is depth and talented depth. So, to have him be, how many games did he start last year?
6 games last
6
year.
games. Yeah. So he definitely has experience there. I know it's a new scheme and everything like that, but still,
Sure.
he's one of those dogs that we like that, was physical at the point of attack. He'd fight throughout the ball, things like that. Maybe there were some family issues, like he was saying last week, or maybe he was upset at the possible reps that he'd be getting. But it's a huge loss. It is, and there's no way around it.
So before you get into or before I respond to what you just said, I also want to make sure everybody, I never do the housekeeping well. I'm still learning. 4 years or however long we've had this channel, I'm still getting into how to be a formal host and all that. So make sure y'all smash the like button. Make sure y'all support us. We got to get back to growing the channel before the season starts. I don't know how many days we have until kickoff. I think it's like 67 days or something like that. I could be way off on that, but we got to get back to growing the platform. So hit the like button. That's the best way the algorithm recognizes us. Now, in regards to what you just said, I think one of the biggest things is we don't know what the issue is, right? So a lot of it is speculation. Obviously there's some things going on, some personal challenges that we have to be respectful of. I agree with you in terms of the law. I'm gonna agree and disagree with you because I've thought a lot about this since the first time his name came up. I agree that it's a big loss in terms of losing a very talented player from the room. I stand by everything I've said about Anthony Cook on this channel regarding his upside, regarding the type of prospect he is. There's no doubt about that. However, with the depth and the development, as well as a new scheme, as well as him even being, from all we know, he was going to change positions and play what they call the spur position. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's very much like what they ask of a nickelback. And then we're hearing, hey, Chris Adam Moore actually is what they would prefer as a starter to get a look, right? So that could factor in terms of the players just not, we saw this happening last year, not to this degree, but Shaun Wade, because we're going to have another college football conversation in terms of who are the best defenders coming back. But Shaun Wade at Ohio State had to kind of wait behind Jeffrey Okudah and Damon Arnett, and he was the one that played inside. Now they're saying, hey, he's got to kind of show his stuff off on the outside. All these guys that want to make money want to show what they can do, guarding the outside receiver, number one wide receiver, and showing off their skills and being showcased in that manner. So if Anthony Cook may have felt like, and this is all speculation, but if he felt like, hey, the coaches are taking me away from that, that could be a thing. Could it be some of the social stuff? Could it be family related and he has to go back to Houston? We don't know. But I do think Texas is in a better place than they have been in recent years to make up for the attrition. And the thing is, we didn't have a spring. And I want to give a shout out to Jared Guidry that said this, one of our subscribers, that was like, hey, who knows that if we had a normal spring, who's to say that this wouldn't have occurred right after spring ball when they practiced and the coaches kind of let him know where he stood back in April, right? And have time. I think with a lot of what's going on with COVID-19 and just nothing is normal right now. And it's like, all right, this is now the time where guys are starting to figure out that they may not be immediately in the plans for 2020. So want to get caught up here on the comments. Guys, DB situation, I mean, Tran, what do you feel? I mean, I feel like we have much better depth now than we've ever had before. I mean, when you're having conversations about spending other people down the linebacker, I understand we're talking about safeties and mixing safeties and corners, but the depth is better than it's been in the last few years, in my opinion, from a talent perspective.
Yeah, so the talent is there. I think we stated that they may be our most our deepest position group for defensive backs or cornerbacks or safeties, all in. It's still a blow to us because you got to think of the league we're in. We're in a league that
Sure.
I think they said the average was 78 plays. And when you're playing 78 plays, it's 5 seconds a play of straight up sprinting. So you need as many dogs. Yeah, you need as many dogs as you can to rotate, and you can't have a huge drop off in talent for that. So that's where the big attrition problem comes into play. So
also health too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the elephant in the room, right? I mean, we were one of the most banged up football teams, that I can remember in a while from a Texas perspective. It seemed like everybody got hurt last year. So even if, playing the devil's advocate to what we just said, even if you were going to be second team on the depth chart, if things kind of start going the way they were last year, your number's going to be called right away, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I think I think it just really, really harkens to us not having a spring and that attrition that would have occurred anyway that naturally occurs. I mean, you look at other teams like LSU. Just the kid Monroe just entered the portal. Alabama, the kid Shavers enters the portal. I think he ended up at Mississippi State, if I'm not mistaken. So people are there's going to be attrition of very, very talented players. I think Shavers was a 5-star when he came out. So it was like guys are going to be moving around. And then you have other people that are going to get their name called. Because at the corner position, I would say is Jalen Green and Deshaun Jameson are your two outside guys, with Kenyatta Watson's right there on everybody's ass. Josh Thompson has to play somewhere. You know what I mean? And you have Chris Adamora inside. You have the young guys coming in, whether it's a Keaton Crawford, a Marquise Caldwell that may come up and develop, and some of these other folks, Montrez Estelle, like all these guys that are around. There's still a lot of names. But to your point, Anthony Cook is a blow just from a talent perspective, I feel. All right. So Mark, our friend Mark, what's up, man? He said, John Tran question, are you losing focus on our objective that is winning the Big 12? What's Mark?
I don't know what that means.
I think he said, are we? I think he meant we.
Are we losing focus on our objective winning the Big 12? I don't think that's the objective. I don't think that we're losing focus on that. I think you and I both have been saying that it's Big 12 or bust this year. Honestly, especially with all the cards stacked against all the other teams, we have the depth, we have the coaching staff. We have one of the most experienced I think the most experienced quarterback, because I think Brock Purdy still has one more year. So we have all the tools to be the best team in the Big 12. And then if we win the Big 12, we possibly can get a college playoff spot.
So Denver Dunbar, thank you for the comment regarding, are we even going to have a football season? Look, that's a very real conversation. I think we should just go ahead and have that right now. And we'll talk about Anthony Cook in depth. And there's nothing more fun for me before the season talking about the potential people on the depth chart. I love it. However, we're in a very, very crazy time. We've spent a lot of time, at least on our platform, speaking on some of the social issues going on in our country at Texas. However, we had, how many people did we have that was reported test positive?
I think it was 13.
13.
I want to say 13.
So we have a number of guys test positive. Across the country, this is happening. You saw, I think Clemson had several players on their team. I think almost 28 people test positive. Maybe that number's inflated, as well as staff, right? And so the concern is, and I see some guys saying, "Oh, they'll be fine." The concern isn't necessarily on the guys or them and whether or not they're recovered. That's not the point. The point is the spread of this virus and trying to contain it, and those who can impact. If they go back now, if they're being quarantined, if it's affected family members. Here's one thing that a lot of people haven't even talked about as well. Some of these guys are obviously, these very emotional times with our players, especially being out in the forefront of a lot of the protests. But when it relates to COVID, how many people's parents have been affected from the economy side of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are going through real issues. People that are probably here watching us right now that have been personally impacted by the economy, whether it's reduced, whether it's being furloughed, whether it's being laid off, whatever's been going on, right? I would be remiss if I didn't mention how that have impacted some of these players' families. So all these variables are swimming about. Nobody wants to have football more than any of us, right? Because, including those the powers that be that make a lot of money off of this. But with the numbers, with things that are looking the way they are in Texas, and Tran, I know you follow these COVID things real close. Every time I ask you a question, you're always on point with your numbers, man. I don't know what app you got on your phone or what, but it's just,
No, I have a guy on my team, Chase. He follows it and just every single day gives me a little update. So I go off of what he says. So
Got you. Got you. Shout out to Mr. Malachek. So,
yeah.
um, I don't know, man. What are your thoughts in terms of how this is going to break down? I see Connor here talking about, hey, where do the fans factor in? Are we going to have fanless football? It's just your general thoughts there.
So I think it's too big of a business for them not to have it. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts first? Let me ask you what's your thoughts on everyone bringing up the question of throwing kind of like the chicken pox party for them and just locking them down with the highly skilled medical team that they have and letting the virus run its course for the whole team. Because I've heard people saying that they should be doing that.
I'm not qualified, nor do I know enough
Yeah,
about
neither am I.
science to have a sound opinion on that, to be honest with you. And I know that sounds like a cop out, but I wish some of our people would just admit that more, because who the hell am I? I haven't studied medicine. All I know, the closest I have to medicine is my mother, who's a nurse, who's, by the way, out there battling on the front lines and lost she actually lost a coworker this week. So it's been tough for her. But I don't know enough about medicine, whether or not that's a sound strategy. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Hey, let's open up, let's get out, let's start getting that. We thought it was slowing down. Now Texas numbers are, skyrocketing, depending on what you look at. But you have people who have still been in quarantine. My dad's over in New York. They've been in quarantine this whole time. Mm-hmm. Numbers are down. It's great. Oh, and a lot of your crew is over there too, Tran.
Yep.
The numbers are down, but people are struggling out of work. So that's the other thing. And so I see people in the chat as well. Do you just push the season back? Do you say, you know what, we'll delay this thing and push things back? But my answer to your question about the chickenpox theory is I don't know enough medically to even remotely give a sound answer to that.
That would be the ideal answer, because honestly, unless they have any underlying conditions, these freak athletes aren't going to be the ones that are affected, honestly. But I did see a comment that says statistically people have died from this. So that's and it is a huge PR nightmare if someone did pass away from this because they did those kind of practices. But I think the team.
No one brings that up, by the way. Everyone just assumes that every single college football player and staff, because we're not just talking about the players, we're talking about coaching staffs. And I'm telling you, all these coaches are not in the best of health. So all it takes is for one person to die from this thing.
You're telling me these overweight coaches aren't one of the risk factors of the death of this?
I just don't want to have something like the kid from Maryland, like a McNair or somebody who's struggling to breathe and
yeah,
I don't know. And we've seen some of these schools, U of H, from what I heard, and y'all can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, we see U of H came back, but they didn't test people when they came back the way Texas did. They kind of jumped into workouts and said, well, we'll test when people show symptoms. They end up testing and they had to shut it down. So is that the responsible move? I mean, who knows? Who knows? We'll see how we navigate. I do think they're still going to try to push for this fall, however they can. But all it would take is to lose, I think, one person. I mean, look, remember when Rudy Gobert tested positive that night?
And then he was acting like an ass, like touching everything, like kissing the microphone, and then he tested positive. That's his fault. I mean, take as much precaution as possible. Make sure that you're cleaning your hands. Make sure that you're not breathing on people. Things like that. I know it's a little bit harder when you're playing a contact sport.
Sure.
But I don't know. I mean, I just think it's too big of a business for it not to happen. Yeah, even if it's pushed back, it's just that they're pulling out these huge numbers. Like I saw a ESPN article that showed that Texas football is evaluated at what, $1.1 billion, which would be in the top 10 for organizations or something like that. It's too big of a business for them to shut down the whole season.
I think it will be made by conferences. So, because again, this is also a regional thing. Even this virus within Texas is a regional thing. Because you look at some counties have hardly any cases and people are like, is COVID even a thing? Like, is this real? And then you have other cases or other counties, excuse me, where the numbers are through the roof, right? And it's a real issue. It's now an issue of hospital beds and all those type of things. But when it comes to player safety, also you're seeing this happen in the NBA right now, right? Like where, all right, we come back, but we got to be in a bubble, right? We can't be with our families. Like now, how long does that go? I think you can definitely pull that off with baseball. But by the way, shout out to baseball for, it sounds like they got their deal done. That's really, really good news. I want to see 60 games in 65 days. So I'm in. But I think it's a different conversation, a different ask of a professional to be away and isolate themselves for the good of the sport and do that. I think that's totally fair ask versus college kids. That's, and I know people are going to make the scholarship argument and all that type of stuff, but you're asking people to take a mighty large risk that don't make any money on on the front end. That is so.
Yet. Yeah. Yet. Which actually brings me to a question on the likeness right thing. Do you think they should establish a pricing level, like the max you could pull in per year is like $150,000? Because I was talking to Brandon, who I actually thought Brandon was going to be on this chat, but him and I were talking about it, and we were saying there's going to be a lot of drug problems if it's not regulated. Like you're going to see a lot of kids fail drug tests and things like that because they're going to have a ton of money. Because you got to think they're getting a full scholarship, even if it was like $100,000 a year. I think that's way more than enough for an athlete to profit off their likeness.
So the likeness thing is real interesting because I think Sam Ehlinger, when they did it, right, he was
evaluated
almost at $1 million.
Yeah,
right around $1 million based on his likeness, especially with look at all these people on Instagram selling tummy tea and protein powder and on all this stuff and what they're able to do. We're in COVID, we're in a new world where things are changing rapidly. And I think from a sports perspective, I think you're going to see sports in general, whether it's collegiate or pro sports, experiment. I think that now is honestly the time to experiment with things like that. We already saw Florida, their governor come out and say that they're going to be able to profit off of that next year. So it's coming. All this is coming down the pipe.
Did you see Connor? I haven't heard that, but I think that's a great idea.
I hadn't even thought about that. That was a great comment by Connor Moffitt. Having for those of you who can't see, he said, I heard someone saying a delayed bank account that they get upon quitting football or graduating. So money adds up over years. I'll be cool with that.
I like that, actually.
I'll be cool with that. Because again, we've seen how many, throw a name of somebody right now in the chat that was cold in college football. That was amazing in college football. Didn't do, and that for a fact didn't do diddly squat and didn't make any money in the NFL. Go ahead and throw the name in the chat. Anybody you could think of, right? People that have played for our school. So I think I'm glad you brought that up, Tran, because the likeness conversation is something that will continue to progress. Say we, God willing, we have football this year, and now people have seen what they've done in the state of Florida. We've seen those conversations get had in the state of California. It's only a matter of time where it comes across everywhere, right? So, look at Vince Young. And I know Vince Young did make money in the NFL, but, and I don't know if I've said this on a video before, I may be repeating myself, but I'll say it again. There's a steakhouse, downtown Austin, Texas. I went there my wife and I went there for our third wedding anniversary. It's a wonderful steakhouse called Vince Young Steakhouse. They paid him for his name, right? And what did they? He has no management ties to the restaurant or anything, right? But what they did was they paid him for his name. And for those of you who don't know, if you ever used to watch the Real World Austin, it's the house they
It's
actually
the
lived
house,
in
yeah.
that they turned into that restaurant. But in that restaurant, it's just VY being cold at Texas. That's the whole restaurant. And then, I mean, now it's fine dining. It's like a Capitol Grill or Ruth Chris type of restaurant. But they made a whole business out of what he did at the University of Texas. You don't think people are doing stuff like that in Lincoln, Nebraska? You know what I mean? Like, so it very, very interesting. I love Perry's Dr. Janelle. They got their pork chop, $15 pork chop special on Fridays. But yeah, I mean, all those guys with these rules, and to me, the money is deserved based upon what they did for the culture and the program in the city of Austin. So Mark Vasquez is trolling right now, saying Nicky Rose.
He played a couple of years, didn't he, in the league?
Yeah,
I know
he
he's
was on the
Washington.
Redskins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Colt McCoy doesn't count though. Colt
Roy,
McCoy's he's almost 10 years in the league.
Roy Williams made 2 Pro Bowls.
Yeah, Roy Williams doesn't count either. And he got traded for 2 first-round picks from my beloved Dallas Cowboys. That right there, by the way, I was thinking about, I know I'm going on a tangent, but it's alive. I was thinking about 5 games that just broke my heart as a Cowboys fan.
The one where he caught the touchdown at the end, but it was a hold.
I was actually thinking of the Saints game when he caught it and he made this unbelievable move and he was running. It was Roy Williams and they stripped him in the open field and we lost. And I'm just like, damn. And it was just like just iconic of what his career was as a Dallas Cowboy, because I wanted Roy. Roy was one of my favorite Longhorn players, bro. Like when I first got NCAA football, I think it was 03, the one with Joey Harrington on the cover when he was at Oregon. And I remember I used to sit there with my boy and put in names the whole, like for a few days. And I remember like boosting up Roy Williams stats because I just thought he was like, I thought he was like better than Charles Rogers, right? Like that's how high I was on Roy Williams, man. And all those guys, him, BJ Johnson, Sloan Thomas, David Thomas, like all those guys, man, they were just Bo Scaife, you know. Those are the folks that we grew up on, man. So y'all are hilarious. Colt is paid. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Yeah. Whoever's talking about Colt, he's making money. Didn't he sign another 2-year deal or something like that?
With the Giants. He just signed with the Giants. You guys need to knock it off with the Colt McCoy stuff. Thank you, K-Drag. Colt is paid. I'm talking about people. Let me think. Lindell White had 1,000-yard season on the Titans before he got fat.
Ate himself out of the league.
Yeah. I'm talking about Ken Dorsey.
Oh yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Heisman Trophy winner.
Right. Went 7th. It was like a 7th round pick. Probably, I think he had like a couple. Major Applewhite. Y'all love Major Applewhite so much. He did not play a snap in the NFL. But think about how many people love Major Applewhite, right? Think about that. He did not play a snap. He made no money. Like all Major Applewhite's money came from, him going to coaching.
Hey, Mark, Puna Ford is balling out.
Right.
Yeah.
No, guys.
Marcus Russell, yes, 100%.
The topic is, I'm talking about people that did not get paid. If you were the number one, I don't even count Jamarcus. He was terrible. Obviously, he was one of the greatest busts of all time. But I'm talking about people that didn't even like get to play in the NFL like that. That were really, really good college players. Made no money. Puna Ford is going to get paid, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Terrell Pryor's an interesting one. I don't know if he ever got paid after he had that one big year
he
with the Browns.
1 year with 1,000 yards, I think.
Yeah.
With the Browns.
Deonta Foreman. That's
Maurice
that's a brother.
Claret.
Ooh, ooh, that's a tough Maurice Claret. Who said that?
Me. Oh, no, I just said it.
Oh,
I just said it off
you
the top
thought?
of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Jason White, Michael Fordham, great one. Jason White won a Heisman. I think was a two-time Heisman finalist. Went to what? Played in 2 national championship games. What, against LSU and USC? But the league was like, bro, you got no knees, man. You ain't getting no money from us.
You go to
Did you,
UCF.
I think Jason White. I think Jason White got a backpack from the Saints rookie camp. I think
Yeah,
that's as
probably.
far as he got. Pat White, I'll give you Pat White. Somebody said that earlier and I missed it. Pat White, I'll give you Pat White because Pat White for I know we have varying ages in here, but for those of you who are, we have a lot of high school kids and college kids in here. Pat White, West Virginia, Steve Slayton, the other brother with the dreads, Noel Devine, they were amazing at West Virginia. Do you remember when they were freshmen and they played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, Tran?
Yep.
And just
They
ran.
balled out. Yeah. I was thinking of him, and also who was that? There
Who
was
said
an
JT
Oregon.
Barrett? JT Barrett qualified. Those are the type of players I'm talking about.
Yeah.
JT Barrett played 4 years, had like 45 touchdowns as a freshman at Ohio State. Where is he at? Is he in the NFL? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Tran. Go ahead.
No. I'm reading some of the names. I'm thinking there was a quarterback. The only reason why he didn't make it in the NFL is he blew his knee out. He was an Oregon quarterback.
Dennis Dixon.
Thank you, Dennis Dixon. Man, he was someone that didn't. He did play a couple years in the NFL, right? He was on the Ravens, I want to say.
Yeah, he did play in the NFL a little bit. I don't know if he made money like that. I do remember 07. There's a great YouTube video about the 2007 college football season, by the way, and how crazy it was. But Oregon, before he got injured, Oregon was like that squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember watching that game where he blew his knee out.
Tommy Frazier, for those of you older heads here, Tommy Frazier didn't get to the NFL because of blood clots, right? Because Tommy Frazier, JT Barrett, Colt Brennan, Pat White, those are the names I'm talking about of the great, like Tommy Frazier. If anybody that sits up here and says he's the greatest college quarterback ever, I'm not going to argue you. I may have a different answer. I may say Vince Young or Joe Burrow or whoever, whatever. But I'm not going to. Those of you who say Tommy Frazier and what he did those last 3 years at Nebraska, unbelievable. The running back from Stanford, who Toby Gerhart.
Yep. He came in second in the Heisman.
Oh man, Major Harris at West Virginia. Wow, y'all. Oh man, I'm enjoying this. All my college football heads, y'all know exactly these people we talk about. I'm not Denver Dunbar. You shut your mouth about little Jordan Humphrey. It's not over yet.
No, he said I think that he should have stayed one
Oh,
more
he
year,
should have
which
stayed. I thought he was
I don't
already
think so.
throwing him.
I think he left at the right time because I don't think his value was gonna be any higher.
I don't
even
know
if he
how
stayed another year.
I agree. Taj Boyd, Manny Acho. Manny Acho was a beast his last year at Texas. Kajana Carter. See, back then though, the thing about Kajana Carter, he does fit from a standpoint and didn't have that success, but he still was a number 1 overall pick. And in the 90s, for those who don't remember, if you were number 1 overall pick, you were getting paid up front. You didn't have to wait till your third contract. Sam Bradford is a perfect example of that. You remember Sam Bradford got like $60 million guaranteed when he signed with the Rams. And that was right before they changed the scale, because I think when Cam Newton and Andrew Luck, I think they changed it when they redid the
he was the last
agreement.
he was the last rookie that can sign for a cap. Cap on his.
Jackson Jeffcoat, that's the type of people I'm talking about.
I don't think he even made it in the league. I think
Who?
he played CFL.
He
Jackson
played
Jeffcoat.
CFL. Yeah, and I remember him being on the Redskins for a little bit, but he was Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year at Texas after
Sergio
being
Kendall.
he fell down
Didn't he
the
have a
stairs,
stroke?
right?
Yeah, didn't he have a
I
stroke or something like that?
I thought he fell down the stairs and like broke
And
his neck.
cracked his skull, I think.
I thought Sergio Kendall fell down the
Yeah.
stairs from what I remember. I'm
Yeah, but he cracked his skull. Like
He was a second rounder too. Like he was man, I'll never forget what he did to that quarterback on was it Taylor Potts on
looked like he
Texas
murdered him.
Tech.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I forgot what quarterback that was, but it was the Texas Tech quarterback. He decapitated the guy.
Yeah. Mark,
He's
come on
saying it
now.
was
Breckenhager
both.
was not going to make. He fell,
Yeah,
then
come on.
stroke. Yeah.
No, Breckenhager was what you call a fan favorite. He wasn't a superstar. I'm talking about people that were conference player of the year or all Americans.
Yeah, Tim Tebow. You're right.
Like Michael Fordham, you threw out some good ones, but I will not allow Everett Golson. No, sir. Tim Tebow, at least he got to. Are y'all joking or is that true about him being a? Oh man, see, I'm not going to disrespect because sometimes we have some guys in here that are former players and stuff. I don't want to disrespect them. All I have is love for people that were people like that. Yeah, but this is fun conversation. It's always the stuff I think about. Even some of these like legendary college running backs. You know who makes me sad though? I'm gonna give y'all a name. The brother Marcus Lattimore from South Carolina.
Oh, he was so well respected when he blew his knee out. I remember both teams came out on the field, and
that was a Tennessee game.
Yeah,
wasn't it, bro? That brother was good, man. He was so good. He still got to be a third-round pick
for the 49ers, right?
Yeah, for the 49ers, and they were like, he's never gonna play.
We'll take a shot on him. Yeah. How do you think Duvernay is going to do with the Ravens? They're trying to make it fast. I think he's fantastic. Fantastic.
I'm gonna let Tran answer the Duvernay question real quick, but you keep throwing shade at our people, I'm gonna have to kick you out, bro. Don't you dare say Sam Ehlinger. That is disrespectful, sir.
General Samuel.
Right. General Samuel George Ehlinger. You put some damn respect on his name, sir. I'm just messing with you. But he already called my man Sergio Kendall a 5-star car salesman. The disrespect going on here. But anyway, Tran, go ahead and talk about Devin Duvernay. I know you.
Yeah, I don't think he's so his work ethic is going to be there. The coach was extremely excited that they got him, so he's in their future game planning right now. So you get the kid the ball, he's gonna ball out. He's gonna catch it. I think he'll be the ultimate possession receiver for them. I'm worried a little bit about his breakaway speed when he's transitioning to the NFL when everyone's a beast out there, but he catches in traffic, he catches on the run, he catches ball behind him. So I think he's gonna be a 500 to 600 yard receiver next year.
D-man, I know you're just playing. I had to give you a hard time.
It's funny.
It's funny. I know you just playing, brother. Trendon Holiday was cold. I remember he had 99 speed on NCAA football if you used LSU. Shaq Lawson just got paid by the Miami Dolphins, so does not qualify, Trevor. If you get a second contract, I'm talking about people that just didn't even get paid. Like Lawrence Phillips, self-inflicted, but yeah, I'll give you that. Going back to Devin Duvernay, I think it's interesting because the Ravens, I don't know if anybody saw the story today about them talking about AB. If they go down that route, whether they go down the AB route or not, who are the established wide receivers on the Ravens right now?
Marquise Brown.
Hollywood Brown,
and
who serves who's a completely different role anyway.
Who's the dude from Oklahoma, the tight end?
Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews.
Mark
Those are
Andrews.
his.
They traded Hayden Hurst
Mhm.
because they used their tight ends are heavily involved, right? So they traded Hayden Hurst to the Atlanta Falcons. They still have Nick Boyle, and then you have Willie Snead, and then the rest of it, like I'm looking at Devin Duvernay. I'm like, why can't you be third, right?
Mhm.
Like Miles Boykin is there. They drafted him last year, and they have James Prochet as well that was drafted, but there's no reason why he can't. Whether they go after AB or not, there's plenty of reps on the table for Devin Duvernay right off the bat. Willie Snead is probably going to be the slot to start out with. I mean, that's the position he kind of played last year, but even with Willie Snead there or not, or Hollywood Brown there or not, when they go 11 personnel, I think Devin Duvernay has a shot to be on the field. Now, how often they do that, especially with how they utilize their tight ends and how they evolve after last year's playoff disappointment, will be interesting. But Devin Duvernay is more than just a slot receiver in terms of
Mhm.
what he's able to do. Now, he broke out for us playing that H position that everybody that plays that position in Tom Herman's
So I don't
offense
think he broke
needs.
out for us. I think the talent was always there. We just didn't get him the ball.
True, but he was our number one breakout player before the season started.
Because we thought that when he switched over, he's going to get those little dink and dump passes, and he was going to turn them into something. That's why we knew the talent was there. We saw him break away from corners all year. The year before, we just couldn't get him the ball. I mean, there was 4 or 5 times I can remember him taking a deep post, and he was wide open, and we just couldn't get it to him.
That is very, very true. The missed opportunities over the year, even with when Shane Bouchel was here, some of the missed opportunities then. Uh, Mr. Stoker, I appreciate you, brother. Get back to be safe and take care of yourself. I always love your energy, man. Uh, yeah, Devin Duvernay is. I'm just glad that he did get to eat at least 1 year here at Texas. So also the things that they'll be able to do because the Ravens and what they do, with Lamar and the type of offense that they run, it's one of the more creative attacks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be involved in a lot of the jet sweep stuff. People are talking about somebody because that's what made me think of it too. The ability of him to line up in the backfield. Also, the Ravens drafted J.K. Dobbins, right? So they just got weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they got Dobbins to complement Mark Ingram. Justice Hill's still there. The things they'll be able to do uh, um, just as an offensive weapon with Devin and where he'll be able to line up. And the thing is his football smarts, and he's a grown up. When Devin comes into your locker room, when he comes into your huddle, he's an adult, right? You won't have to worry about did you hear the interview with John Harbaugh when he was talking about when they interviewed Devin or when they first talked to Devin Duvernay and he was like, when are you guys going to send me my playbook? Like that was like his first thing out of his mouth. And like, I don't expect anything less from him. Right. So, big time, hope. Who's John Matthews? You said Sam Darnold. Knock it off. You saying Sam Darnold. All right. So, Hudson Card. Yeah, it's a good transition. Let's talk about Hudson Card because his workout video. For those who didn't see it, he's been going through some drills, and he's gotten bigger, noticeably bigger.
You talk about him. We'll also talk about Mr. Milrow as well.
Yes, because he has all these guys have videos out.
Yeah.
Mr. Jackson has been working with Devontae Kincaid, formerly of Grambling, and he's been looking good, and his knees looking good. Like there's about to be one hell of a quarterback competition
In 21.
in 21, especially if Casey Thompson sticks around for it, because people are forgetting how they were raving about Casey Thompson in practice during Utah Bowl prep. So I mean, that position alone, that's where you really have to take your hat off to what Tom Herman's done there. But those of us who did see Hudson Card play here in Austin, what that kid's capable of. I watched him play wide receiver, and I was blown away when he was playing next to Garrett Wilson when they had Matthew Baldwin throwing the football around. So the skill set I'm very impressed with. And I know they're drills and he's out in some random park, but when you see the velocity he's able to put on the football and accuracy, rolling to his left and throwing, on the run is very, very interesting. Um, and then you have a Mike Yursich offense here, who all these guys fit what he likes to do. There's nobody where I'm like, oh, square peg round hole type of thing. I don't see that with any of these quarterbacks. Like I see a future, even Jalen Milroe, like you mentioned before, I see a future for all of them, but it's going to come down to competition.
Yeah, and I think Hudson's going to have a little step up on him just the extra practice. But the video that I saw for Jalen Milroe, he was fitting passes into tight windows,
Mm-hmm.
which I was very impressed with. Will those tight windows close up a little bit faster with more more talented defensive backs? Most likely, yes. But he still has a full year to actually work on that, work on his touch, work on his accuracy. I do love the fact that he's out there working on his accuracy and just not just his athleticism. You know what I'm saying? So, getting him prepared to go into that Mike Yursich offense. Hopefully hopefully we can have a season where he can actually watch and visualize what he should be reading on, so. But both of them, I'm really excited about our QB competition coming up this next year.
All right, we're gonna have to kick some people out the chat. Connor Moffitt,
What happened?
Old school, like the strong days. I love you, brother, Bubba. You say some nonsense like that, but kick you out. I know you playing, though. The case for all these guys, in all seriousness, I know I love the fact that we're having fun right now and teasing each other because these times have been crazy and there's a lot of uncertainty.
Wheeler package.
But Tran, brother, I needed this today. So
yeah.
I will say this. The case for Jaquindon Jackson, I think the reason why people are so high and always kind of isolate him, there's an it factor that you can't really explain with him in particular that you saw at Duncanville, where he has that FU game, some game not going great, whatever's going on, he's just like, screw it, I'm gonna do it myself. And when we saw that with Vince when he came out of Madison, right? Like where it was just like, all right, screw it. We gotta do what we gotta do. I'm out of here, right? And in the biggest of games against some of the best teams, like when Duncanville played St. John's from DC, who's one of the best teams in the country, and just slaughtered those guys. They play South Lake Carroll, who a lot of people were very high on Quinn Ewers, and just all right, it's time. I gotta go. Like there's a gamer type of element. And then you see the development of him, how he threw the football, especially his deep ball, his last year, when people were kind of talking about him being more of an athlete than a quarterback. Now you're seeing him have that development as a passer. There's something there from a leadership perspective that is very interesting. Here's a question that I have for you, Tran.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen some people kind of allude to this. We had back-to-back years where we signed the best quarterback in the state of Texas when we signed Shane Buechele, and then the following year we signed Sam Ehlinger. And if I'm wrong on that, y'all can correct me. But I thought they were number one back-to-back years. Do you think that where Jackson, Card, dare I say Milroe, are they ahead of where those guys were coming into Texas as prospects?
Depends. So Hudson Carr, I think, has the touch that Buechele has. Buechele always had a little touch on the ball. Sam didn't. Sam was just a raw. He was a leader. So I see a lot more Jackson in Sam. All right, well, other way around. Sam and Jackson.
Sure. I got you.
That's where Milroe, I think he's a good mixture of the two. One thing I'm worried about is Jackson blowing out his knee, and I know knee surgery, especially for a contact sport like football, it usually takes a good 12 to 15 months for you to be 100% cured. So this extra year with Sam could be a blessing in disguise for him. So he could actually be on the same playing field as Hudson. I think Hudson right now, he would be number
Hudson's
3 on
very
the depth.
polished.
Yeah, he'd be number 3
Very
on the depth
polished.
chart, and he'd be number 4 because of that. If we want a perfect transition, I think he would be a better solution than Hudson, because he has that FU quality that, I'm going to win this game. I don't care. I'm going to put people on my back and I'm going to win it. So, if you're going for the leadership aspect of it, I think Jackson's the way to go.
We'll see how it breaks out, man. I mean, because now we have another offensive mastermind in the room where it's not just Tom Herman anymore, right? And this is another thing I want to kind of branch off to bigger picture as well. Now that Mike Yurcich is here, and how this team looks this season with Mike Yurcich, how they look moving forward, the plan of saying, hey, we got to be at 45, 48 points minimum every single week if we want to win this conference and be at that consistent level that OU has shown the last 5 years. With that being said, I do think that they're both ahead of where those guys were. Shane always had that polish and accuracy. The issue with him was physically, I don't think he was there, and he had to play too early. He was a victim of circumstance, especially Charlie Strong trying to save his job, and guys in transition, whether it was Tyrone Swoops or Gerard Hurd switching positions. What's his name from Sterling Gilbert had just come in. It was just it was a lot going on, and Shane wasn't there physically. I don't even know if he was 200 pounds when he started against Notre Dame.
I think Gilbert also kind of screwed him, because all Gilbert did were run just deep balls. No little slants, no little hooks, nothing. Every single time.
We didn't have any routes over the middle in that offense.
It was awful, and it really bothered me. And once people started seeing that, they're like, all right, we'll just play it to the outside. Hopefully he throws a bad pass. It was terrible. So sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead.
No. I agree. D-Mac said it, and some of the other guys said it earlier. Sam then coming in and playing, kind of after that Maryland game, right, was very raw. Sam physically was already there. Sam was already 225 walking into Texas, right? But they had to change his throwing motion. They had to, then his second year, even though he had 40-something touchdowns and was very productive, he couldn't. He missed so many deep balls, right? Like, it was just like he didn't have that natural passing ability that you see from these guys. The cool thing about Hudson Card, Jaquindon Jackson, Jalen Monroe, you see the dual threat and they got the physical. Like Hudson Card, I know a lot of y'all saying he's got to put on weight. Let me tell you this. The weight is coming on not only for him, but as an athlete. This is a guy who was a 1,000-yard receiver before he even switched over to quarterback.
Like, how heavy do you want your quarterback? Honestly.
It depends on how you're using him. If you're using him the way we use Sam Ehlinger circa 2018, then you want him heavy like a Jaquindon Jackson.
Well, if our offensive coordinator doesn't see that, hey, this guy should not be taking the hits that Sam takes, the offensive coordinator should not be there, honestly.
Depends on your preference.
Yeah.
I agree with that. There's more than one way. There's multiple ways to skin a cat. I totally agree.
Send Carter Whataburger.
These are all good problems and good things to be discussing and to have. I heard another coach of another team. They were asking about his depth chart today because he was like, yeah, boo-hoo, I have a bunch of talented kids that I got to pick from. Like, this isn't a bad thing, right? So how it breaks out, and not everybody's going to stay. That's the other thing that people have to get in their heads. I mean, there's going to be some feelings hurt in the fan base. Everybody's kind of already picking their horse, so to speak, on who's going to take over. People are obviously sleeping on Casey Thompson, who's within the program right now, and has held on. Whether he stays for the long haul, I don't know, but everybody's kind of picking their guy. So at the end of the day, though, I'd rather be in this situation than where we were a few years ago, where we had nobody, and then the guys we had coming in didn't get that chance to develop physically or develop behind the scenes like they should have. The way that Vince Young was able to develop when he got to redshirt, the way Colt McCoy was able to get a year of weight room work in as a redshirt, right? And see what good looks like in front of them. We're getting back to that. Like, there's no pressure on Jaquindon Jackson to play this year. He can work on himself like he's doing. He can get healthy and get right and get himself ready. There's no pressure on Hudson Card to play this year. They're stacked there, right? So you have to give a shout out to guys that have sacrificed themselves before in this program. And that's why we have to be thankful for Sam Ehlinger, good, bad, or indifferent, because he's helped us bridge that gap that was there, that we've always had. And because he stuck around and he's improved every single year individually, it's we're now in a position to where we now have that depth again at the quarterback position.
Yeah. So I see that there's some Ehlinger talk. I guess comparing him to McCoy, I guess. McCoy was more complete
To
QB1.
Colt McCoy?
Which is a funny thing because I had a one-on-one today with one of my team, and he's actually an Aggie, and he asked me what do I think about Ehlinger, and I think if he wins a Big 12 championship for us, he will go down as my number 2 quarterback of all time, or bypassing McCoy. Yeah. And the reason why is, I mean, you and I have talked about this, of what they've inherited. Colt inherited a national championship caliber team.
Sure. Weren't they
Sam
number 1
Ehlinger,
his freshman year when they
Yep.
played Ohio State?
Yep, they were number 1. Sam inherited a team that won 20 games the previous 3 years. So I mean, they were trash. I mean, he went through two different coaching staffs. So
well, Sam was year 1 Tom Herman, but he, in terms of the now he's had a different offensive coordinator, and the revolving door of players around him. I do agree with that.
No, I think that if he's the one quarterback that actually turns around this team and wins it with less, I think that's way more impressive than someone who has that infrastructure already built in. And you're just a plug and play guy at that point, where you have all the weapons, the offensive line, the defense was stout. Back then, our defense was fantastic. So I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but I think that's just it means more to me that he did more with less than what Colt did.
That's a very interesting discussion, because I think Colt's last 2 years were so elite, especially the fact that
16 wins, by the way. Someone just corrected me. I said 20 wins. He said
gotcha.
16. Okay. just letting you know.
Colt McCoy, let's kind of state their resumes, right? Colt McCoy, and like you said, he inherited a very good team that a lot of players came back from 05 Texas, 06 Texas. Jevin Sneed comes in. I think that was that Jevin Sneed's freshman year? Or was that?
Yep.
Yeah, and Colt's pretty good. And then the sophomore year, he throws a lot of picks. He had the elbow issue. And then his junior year, he just takes off. Junior, he's completing 75% of his passes. He beats probably one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen in 2008 Oklahoma, with Sam Bradford, DeMarco Murray, all those guys, right? And no one blames Colt for us losing the Texas Tech game. I mean, we were right.
He did have pick 6.
He did, but I mean, nobody. but they always go to Blake Gideon. So it's like, I hate to bring up old memories or anything like that, but just in terms of Colt's landscape, I mean, everybody looks at it like he probably, Texas fans that is, they feel like he would have won the national championship his senior year, and that kind of got taken away from him with the Marcel Darius hit, or else they were undefeated at that.
I agree with that, because I think that our defense started getting tired towards the end of the game, and I think our defense was better than their offense. I mean, what he had 57 yards or something like that, 59 yards passing. What's his name? McElroy?
Oh, Greg McElroy.
Yeah, McElroy. Yeah, and he had 59
and he
yards
had Julio
passing,
Jones on his team,
and he threw the horns down like he did it. So, at the end. So I mean, that was special for him. But I mean, with our defense not being tired and going 3 and out, and then being there, being on the field constantly, I think with us just putting together drives, I think that would turn the game around completely.
So just moving around the depth chart, somebody said, what's the inside scoop on the big guys? Y'all want to talk trenches? Let's talk trenches. So starting with the offensive line, we talked about Samuel Cosme. Somebody said, how dare you mention Blake Gideon? I'm sorry. I mean, just, you know, that name is never mentioned in my home. My apologies, Taylor. There's a few guys I'm excited about on the offensive line. Samuel Cosme's getting all the pub, rightfully so. One of the latest CBS mock drafts that came out, they had him, I think, at number 14 in the first round. So hopefully getting off the snide from an offensive line perspective. I want to see Tyler Johnson play. He was our highest rated recruit last year. I've heard nothing but great things behind the scenes. I want to see what the work that Herb Hand's been doing, getting these guys physically developed. I'm excited to see year 2 of Junior Angulau. Derek Kerstetter, who you just mentioned, the Pro Football Focus article comes out that he's the best pass protector in the country, right? And but we're moving him to center. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic, seeing the return of Denzel Okafor, where he do we move him over to guard? Like, these are all, again, good problems, and guys, a lot of guys, Tyler Johnson aside, guys that play football for us and play very, very well. And all of them, Derek Kerstetter has a chance. So if he shows off some things with those type of grades, the NFL will take a look at him, especially since they already have their eyes on Samuel Cosme, and we know the scouts love him at, being consistent with his tape, right? So just from the trenches, there's some guys on the low that I know, the Reddit Texas Longhorn fans and people in the message boards, they say, hey, don't sleep on Christian Jones, or don't sleep on a Willie Tyler and some of these other guys who are waiting in the wings. I see people already everybody. Willie Tyler's name. I never am the first person to get Willie Tyler's name out there. So, but these are all the guys we haven't seen gotten opportunity to play yet. And so I also don't want to take for granted people like Junior Angulau. Like, Tran, how valuable is that, all the snaps he took last season as a freshman, right?
Very valuable. Because we before the beginning of the season, we thought that he was just going to redshirt again. He was just going to sit out for that season. But one of the things I want to touch on completely is the fact that you're saying it's a good problem to have. So one of the things that we were amazed about last year was our offensive line health. When have we ever seen the whole not really have an injury where they're out for the rest of the season?
Who missed the start last year?
I mean, there may have been someone who missed a start, but they didn't miss a game. They came in and still played. But with that said, I don't know if we can I don't think we can even when he ran away.
That was fake news.
Yeah, I know.
Don't put that on him.
Yeah. But I mean, do you think we're going to be able to replicate that kind of health again 2 years in a row?
Well, I think the beauty of it is they bought themselves. See, this is why.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a fantastic thing, is that we aren't going to have the same type of luck, because that's why you see all the offensive lines wear those heavy duty knee braces. Someone gets rolled up on you, and even if it's a running back who gets rolled up on you, that's still a 220-pound man on a little joint in your body. What's going to win?
Totally agree.
Yeah, so I think it's a great thing that we have these kids coached up. I think it's a great thing that everyone's tossing all these names out there that, hey, you're forgetting about them. It's like, that's great that we're forgetting about them, because that means we have the depth in the most important position of our offense.
The key is that cohesion, man, because sometimes you see a drop off where it's not even that particular player. It's just more of an issue of communication. I think, we physically got our ass whooped in the Oklahoma game. Tran and I were right there. We were paying so much attention to line play, but communication was also a major issue, right? And so sometimes when you have people moving around, you do want to have that cohesion in terms of a certain stunt that happens or a certain call that gets missed. That's what we saw happen in the LSU game when Chason got through, right? So we have to be better. Well, I'm missing.
That last
I missed it. Who are you
Connor,
laughing
what
at?
Connor said. Their joints are strong because they drink Boss's Ranch.
Yeah, man. Free Boss's Ranch. For those of y'all who didn't hear the news, Boss's Ranch is on hiatus right now due to some COVID co-packing issues in California. We've talked about this previously, but free Boss's Ranch, because it is a wonderful product. But yeah, I mean, we just struggle with that. We struggle with that, the communication, because whenever you see somebody come on a stunt, they just come looping in, and you see the center look at the guard like, is that you? It's like, who's paying for that, Sam? Right? It's like we have to be tightened up there when guys come in the game, and some of these younger guys that haven't played before and the lights haven't been there. Hey, we hear these reports, we read on 24/7 or Orange Bloods that so-and-so is kicking ass on second team in practice or scout team, and he's going to get a shot. If somebody goes down, he's going to get in the game. All right, does he know all the calls? Is he ready to go? Can he hear under pressure? Now, we may or may not have fans, so who knows? But that's what I worry about personally. Also, with Derek Kerstetter moving to center, I do think there's still a drop off with Rafidi. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Rafidi at all. Hopefully that young man continues to develop. But we did see the nightmarish snaps
Oh my
on the
gosh.
spring game. And look, I know it's kind of unfair because so much time has elapsed between that. I know if he's watching, he's probably like, you know what, man, screw you, because I've gotten a lot better since then. That was a long time ago. Why are you bringing that up? However, anything could happen to Derek Kerstetter. He was kind of our Swiss Army knife last year too. So we can't take any of these guys for granted. But we do know this: we are deeper than we've ever been, man. Look at that. I mean, even guys like Isaiah Hookfin, Andre Carrick coming in, from a recruiting standpoint. That's why we're trying to have these conversations with the Brockemeyer brothers, right? So all these the way Herb Hand is setting this thing up, it could be dynamite for his position group. Okay, because if Tom Herman said this, if we can take care of Samuel Cosme and get him to where he needs to be, he's all everything, all conference. He gets drafted. He's as good as he's supposed to be. We get Derek Kerstetter where he's supposed to be. These other guys should come in, and now we have a little unit, a little factory going on. The unsung heroes of our offensive line. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we're extremely excited about it. Are we going to transition over to the D line?
Let's do it.
All right.
So
Keandre Coburn has some running mates. No, we're also excited about our defense at all levels. I'm a Keandre Coburn fan. Just to see a big man work the way he works, stalemates, double teams, triple teams. All he needs is a couple guys to get some push on the offensive line as well. And I think switching over to the 4-man front might help. So I think we're going to see him be a little bit more active in the backfield. We're going to see our playmakers on the edge, your boy Osai, making some big time plays on the outside. I think it's going to all start with our defensive front.
I love the rotation that they're going to have around Keandre. Shout out to some of these brothers on some of the boards out here that have been kind of dabbling around with what the rotations will look like. Obviously we'll have Keandre playing nose. Whoever's next to him will be more of a 3-tech. Whether that 3-tech is a somebody like a Taquan Graham, who I expect to start next to Keandre Coburn. We've heard some other names where, hey, why don't we put Coburn and Sweat next to each other? I think Coburn and T'Vondre Sweat, especially as big as T'Vondre Sweat is now, I think they're going to have to rotate, honestly. Now, the thing I'm looking to see from Coburn, just because you're a nose doesn't mean you can't still get feisty on pass rush like we saw from our boy Poona Ford. You can do more than one thing. I understand responsibilities and keeping your man at bay and letting others around you eat so that everybody else can get home. And so we're not as blitz reliant as we were in Todd Orlando's scheme.
But I'd love
But
to see him every once in a while bull rush the guy and just use his size and just
absolutely,
set that
absolutely.
dominance.
It helps your move. It helps set
Yeah.
your moves up better too. When those guys on the interior don't know that you're just leaning on them and bull rushing every time, but you'll try to blow past and you'll try to hit a swim or get underneath their pads and get up after the quarterback from the interior. Interior pressure is still the best pressure you can get on a quarterback. But all this is so that my man, your man is Coburn, my man's Joseph Osai, number 46. This is the time. This should be his coronation. Like the beginning was the Utah game, right? Where it's like, all right, I think that I'm putting my, if I'm Joseph Osai, why can't I be the best player in the Big 12? Why not?
I think he
Why
thinks he
can't I
can
want to be? I see the irrational confidence in him because you need that type of confidence in yourself to be one of the best, and I do see that from him. And I also think the fact that he went through so much BS last year, having to play everywhere, and he did it, and he was damn good flipping his hips, running 30 yards downfield, trying to cover people, right? But now it's like, all right, everybody else on the team, we got it from here. Joseph Osai, go eat, right? Go do what you do best. Because if he eats the way we think he can, everybody else around him gets exponentially better.
Yeah, don't sleep on Overshone too, Mr. PER. His player efficiency was off the charts from when we actually ran his stats for his gameplay. So I
for the
think those
snaps that he
two
played, for
I
sure.
think those two are gonna benefit the most off of the experienced D line and the 4-man front.
Look, they're going to have a lot of fun coaching Joseph Osai, and all those guys. Again, hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen with Jawan Mitchell. I know I'm kind of moving into linebacker role, but there's some certain skills that those guys have. I know he said he's not comfortable playing Texas, but like he's a fantastic A-gap blitzer. And so those are the type of things where you can piece it together really well and just have people eat, man.
Yeah. So Mark G, due to
Mark G.
the I guess the red shirt rules, we'll definitely see them play at least 4 games. He was asking about Albert Collins and Vernon Broughton. I don't know if we'll play them any further than that, but yeah, we'll definitely see them in games this year.
So very interesting, man. Vernon Broughton, obviously somebody who could actually play on the outside, where you may forecast a Moro Jomo or a Marquez Bimage and push those guys on that outside, kind of like the Cowboys use Tyrone Crawford, if you will, for those who are not familiar, or just as an analogy. Alfred Collins is the guy who I made the bold proclamation. I'm like, did Tom Herman just get himself another Ed Oliver? Like, just the vibe I get from Alfred Collins is he may not be superstar right on the scene the way Ed Oliver was, because we do have more around us than what Houston had when he got there. But there's no reason why that guy physically just shouldn't be all world at some point with his development, especially assuming that the conditioning is there, right? I mean, I know some people got a little worried about his weight because I think he is now north of 300 pounds. But with the type of length he has and the basketball type of athleticism, it's very rare that you have people like that. I don't remember the last type of prospect we had with that raw athleticism on the defensive line that could play interior and on the outside. So Alfred Collins is somebody who I'm buying stock in. Guys, hit the like button. We only have 16 likes. We have 70 people in here. That math doesn't add up to me. Hit the like button, please. Appreciate y'all. All right. What is Holt? What's good, man? Holt, are you gonna be a junior at UT or a senior next year? And you owe me a conversation. What is the position? Holt's question is, what is the position group y'all are most excited about this year. Mine is running back. Running back's going to be fun.
I mean,
We
I'm
got a
gonna
ton of
choose.
dudes there too. Oh, go ahead,
I'm gonna
Tran.
I'm gonna choose one that people wouldn't choose, and that's probably like tight end halfback, because it's so important.
Elaborate.
I mean, because he's saying I guess most excited would be like that they're going to produce the most, but I'm excited to see the change of the guard, because Yurcich uses the tight end way more than what's his name use the tight end constantly in the passing game.
Tim Beck
So
and those
yeah,
guys.
Tim Beck, yeah, Tim Beck. So I want to see how he uses them for a blocking scheme, because when our QB power was at its strongest, it was when our tight end was in there blocking.
Yeah,
So
Andrew
I want to say I'm not really technically excited
Beck
about
was
it,
all
but I do.
conference
Yeah,
because of that.
yeah, I'm not technically excited about it, but I'm kind of interested in seeing how they, especially with Epps switching over to see using his big body. Hopefully his athleticism and his skill catches up to where he should be.
So they actually low key have depth there. I said I don't know if it was a previous live or whatever. I said tight end might be the most under position on the team
Mhm.
because you get a senior K Brewer and K Brewer can kind of do a lot of the things now physically, especially with him being like 250. He's not the same physical blocker that Andrew Beck was, but he is a little bit better receiver, and you have a more competent scheme to really utilize him, because there were times, and shout out to Bill Curlin and some of the guys that were hitting us up on their film study where they were like, dude, there's plays last year if you go back and watch the film where K Brewer is wide open for touchdowns and we just ignored him, right? So I think that gets addressed under Mike Yurcich. Whoever brought up the football porn term, I think it was Taylor. I forgot who was brought up football porn when listening to Coach Yurcich, and hopefully Tran can give us a little Yurcich impersonation here. But that brought it up.
I have to hear him again.
You see how much he schemes the tight end a part of his offense when he's explaining the progressions in his offense. And I mean, that it also leads me to this, like, there's been a lot of talk in the football, those who really want to get into chalk talk, about utilizing more condensed sets. We've been pigeonholing ourselves too much with just our basic, run personnel, how we line up. Now more condensed, maybe adding some bunch in there to what we do, and really, really making some money off some of those pick routes and some of the other things you see the Clemsons of the world do, what you saw them do at Ohio State last year, where they just get people out in space, man. They just get people bunched up, because you're going to have guys mixed in with these tight ends like a Jordan Whittington or a Jake Smith running off of them, right? And I want those guys running across the field against linebackers. Good luck, right? It makes it easier to throw for my quarterback. It's an easy read. That's how Mike Yurcich operates. It's still the same type of scheme that we're running from a power spread perspective conceptually, but the idea and the concepts around getting certain types of people in space and then being honest with those reads to still keep the defense honest, whether it's those tight ends or whatever, is going to be great. Jarrett Wiley is going to come on, man. You saw at the end of the season, he was phenomenal. Blocking Utah bowl game, very, very physical, still transitioning over from being a former quarterback, and what you see with Malcolm Epps, and if he can develop into that flex tight end that we've been missing, that athletic red zone presence. I went back and looked. There was, I think it was, what game was it? Was it TCU? It was one of those games where he caught one in the end zone. It's there for him. It's just a consistency thing. And again, people were judging the guy like he was a junior or senior, and I'm like,
I think his
still a
turning point
redshirt
where it
freshman.
started clicking a little bit for him was the Iowa State game. When he started to see, like, hey, I can use my size against these people and box people out and just catch the ball and not play and emulate Colin Johnson, because I think everyone was just expecting, hey, since they're both 6'6", 6'7", respectively, that they were going to be the same type of player. And it's there's not a lot of very large wide receivers that have Collins' athleticism.
So, running backs. Let's go over running backs to because the excitement is justified.
Mm-hmm.
The excitement is justified. You have the people's champion, Roshan Johnson.
Yep.
You have
That's well deserved too. I mean,
oh
come on, he saved our running back
yes,
room
I
last
told.
year.
There's probably nobody I'm more thankful for than
Mm-hmm.
Roshan Johnson, selfless. And now, obviously, with we talking about workout videos, you see the work that brother's been putting in
Mm-hmm.
the off season, in his development and conditioning, and really immersing himself as a running back because he sees he has a future there. You have Keontae Ingram, who the NFL is going to be a real thing for Keontae Ingram.
Yep.
You know, because there's not a lot of guys at his size that can cut and are as fluid as he is, and he is a different style of runner. And I know it turns off some Texas fans, but for me, he has that little Le'Veon Bell hesitation stuff that when he's healthy, y'all saw in the Utah game, the brother's different. Also, Keontae Ingram is so effective out of the backfield as a pass blocker and as from catching the football. He is a complete running back,
Mm-hmm.
and he is somebody who is paired, I think, perfectly with Sam Ehlinger. And then you have the Ballyhood recruit. You have the recruit of all recruits, Mr. Bijan Robinson, coming in from Arizona, who's a physical specimen, who has that body that is like,
Looks like a
damn,
grown ass man.
right. It's like, is that what we would have gotten Adrian Peterson if we had won that battle? Like, and that you know, even watching the All American practices, right? It's just like he looks different. He's moving different. So just the overall group and crew, especially at a position where they suffer a lot of injuries. I mean, just is what it is. And you know, Keontae Ingram, if there's any knock against him, in my opinion, it's been his injury history, and he's battled some of those knee things since coming out of Carthage. So having a Roshan Johnson there, okay, we have little to no drop off, you know, and he can do some things even better between the tackles and Keontae. Then I have my super recruit and Bijan Robinson, who you could say is the future of our program. So this running back crew is the best I've seen, is the most excited I've been about it since like Joe Bergeron and Malcolm Brown and Jonathan Gray, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like I remember feeling about like, and I know it didn't end like we wanted it to with those guys, but you remember when they started all kind of balling together and it was like, damn, like we about to be cold with these dudes.
And then it felt like the air was taken out of the ball once what's his name got injured in Missouri. It really did feel like it felt like that room was just not the same. But I agree with you completely. You know, I'm really excited about this team. You know, the depth that they have. It's not like, hey, one guy goes down, oh, our team is dead. Last year, before Roshan ascended, if Ingram went down, we were done. we had a walk on back there. And no offense to the walk on or anything like that, but it's just not the talent that
he saved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he Roshan really did save it, man. And we've been fortunate because the year before was Trey Watson, and what he was able to give us during Ingram's freshman year, right? So now, no disrespect to Trey Watson or any of those guys, but now my thing is the talent level. Like if I look roster for roster across college football, I don't know if there's too many other running back rooms I would take over ours. And I haven't been able to say that in a very, very long time, right? Like how many positions at Texas, period? Because the way we're talking about quarterback room too, right? Like when you look at everybody else's rooms across college football, and that's why I do want to get back to talking about the expectation and what is ahead for Tom Herman. But I know some people have some questions for you. Chad Newsom, Thank you for your question. He said, Tran, what's going to be better, run stop or pass coverage? I'm assuming in regards to our defense.
So, I mean, to tell you the truth, they're kind of related. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with run stop. because a lot of teams actually use the run to set up the pass. And if we could stop the run and we could get push on the offensive line through our defensive line, it does nothing but help our defensive backs. You know, you could have average defensive backs right there and just studs up there who's just causing havoc. I mean, look what happened with the 49ers. They rode that all the way to the Super Bowl. Their defensive front was just so dominant, and
Absolutely.
I'm not, Richard Sherman's will be a Hall of Famer, but he is not the same Richard Sherman that was for the Legion
Seattle.
of Boom. Yeah. So,
but he could play behind those guys.
yeah, he
right?
could 100. He could definitely shadow.
Yeah.
He could definitely shadow for the 3 seconds that it took the defensive line to get to the quarterback. So I'm gonna go with our defensive line, and our run stop is number 1, and then pass coverage number 2.
Circling back to the previous conversation, apologies about Danny Young. I do see him. Hopefully they can find a spot for him in maybe a H-back role or something, because 4-string tailback's tough. He has definitely been a team player and somebody who in 2017 we needed him, and he was fantastic in that Missouri Bowl game, and somebody who we thought had a bright future. It's just, it's a meritocracy in college football. Better guys came along. No disrespect. That doesn't mean, like, we're talking about, there's a legit chance Keontae Ingram, Roschon Johnson, Bijan Robinson all wear NFL uniforms one day. That's not a knock on Daniel Young. It's just that's the situation it is. And credit to all those people that told me that Stan Drayton couldn't recruit, but look at the room. So I don't know. Going over, what was the next question? Oh, somebody said, Steve, can you talk about wide receivers? So the wide receivers is really interesting because, we got to see what happens with
who's going to play.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see what happens with Brennan Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Brennan Eagles going to play, though. I'm having this conversation assuming he's going to play. I look at wide receiver a lot like I look at some of our DBs, right? Got a lot of guys who have been around. There's some guys that have played, but and a lot of big name talent in terms of when they came out, when we recruited them, but there's some uncertainty there. So my faith in the wide receivers is directly tied to the quarterback. I think Sam Ehlinger has earned the benefit of the doubt that whoever's out there with them, they're going to put the work in. They're going to be very, very productive. We've now seen Sam Ehlinger be productive with Reggie Hemphill Maps, with Lil Jordan Humphrey, with Devin Duvernay. He had 12 touchdowns last year, by the way, between Jake Smith and Brennan Eagles. And then those guys are going to get pushed respectively by Jordan Whittington. They're going to get pushed by Marcus Washington, Alvonte Woodard, all these guys that have been chilling there. So that's what I'm saying. Like, all these people that are saying, hey, Tariq Black comes on board. Thank you for shouting that out, Taylor. Like, Tariq Black makes the top 50, Gillibrandt's top 50 senior prospects for the NFL. So there's a lot of to work with there for number 11. I put that more on the quarterback, though, because I think he's at the point where he's going to establish what he needs to do with whoever's out there. Let me ask you this, Tran. Out of the wide receivers, whether they're inside or outside, because I think we will see more versatility with how they're used. I think before with Drew Maringer, Tim Beck, guys were kind of pigeonholed, to be honest. I think now with Mike Yurcich and us, again, we talked about the condensed sets before and some of the things we may see, people moving around. I think there may be times where you see Jordan Whittington just line up on the outside just for a look, right? Or to see what's going on, or maybe playing matchups more. I think that's a smarter way to run offense. All that being said, which one of the receivers are you the most excited to see next season?
Alvonte Woodard.
Really?
I saw little flashes of him in his athleticism, and I'm really excited because he was injured last year for the most part, correct?
He's been injured. Yeah, he's been banged up the last couple of years. He started getting some more snaps in there, and he snuck in there in the Utah game too.
Yeah, and but I saw one where I think he took a 5-yard out and he busted it up for 15 yards. But I think this is a opportunity for him to step up. I think he got lost in the shuffle last year. And I think I'm just excited to see what he can do. I mean, we have weapons up and down. I mean, we're even now throwing in Jordan Whittington too, like a 5-star who's jack of all trades at Cuero. So, but I think he may be a sleeper on our team.
For me, that's a big time sleeper because you don't hear his name
Yeah.
mentioned too much. And it's one of those things where the longer you've been in the program and when you don't have those numbers or the production, people, and we always like the shiny new toy, right? Now, everybody's excited about Tariq Black, rightfully so. Um, Feels like he was misused at Michigan and was a victim of Shea Patterson and those guys. For me, I can't wait to see Jordan Whittington healthy. Sounds like he is full go from the groin. And I know what we got from Jake Smith last year. Some of it I'm really, really encouraged with Jake Smith, and some of it I'm still a little skeptical, especially with his some of I don't want to say toughness, but just when stuff gets a little hard, like how will he consistently respond? We know Jake Smith has all the talent in the world, but and he made some the touchdown he had against LSU, that was a really tight window that he caught that football over the middle on that post. So he can do some things. Jordan Whittington, though, to me is like that. To me is going to be a test of where we are at creatively in Mike Yurcich's system and how he's utilized. Because I think you're still going to see an opportunity for him to be used in the backfield. I think from a screen game perspective, I think from a space. That's the type of guy who I think I'm like, the way he's able to run with the football, what you saw at Cuero, where he's just a natural playmaker and has just good raw speed. How do we take advantage of that, with tempo? Somebody like that, that's a person that can just break a tackle because people aren't lined up correctly and he'll take it, right? So Jordan Williamson is kind of my guy that I'm looking at to that I think could really shake some things up for us. All right, let's go on for just a few more minutes because I'm do want to wind down here. I'm not at home, so I do want to be respectful of respectful of everyone's time. Tran, what else you want to cover, man? Baseball's back, by the way, guys. Which is Deshaun Jameson. They've been showing a lot of highlights of him on Twitter, by the way. And that leads us to special teams, of course. Our return
We
game.
actually have a special teams coach now.
I mean, we have several.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Obviously they're going to be led by Jay Boulware, but like, Coleman Hutzler and some of the stuff he was doing with Deebo Samuel at South Carolina, Andre Coleman, world-renowned kick returner, who I think we already saw a difference. I think Andre Coleman had a lot to do with the way they were returning punts in the Utah Bowl game. That's big for me, right? So seeing what Deshaun Jameson is going to be able to do, not just from a kick return perspective, but he's a guy you got to keep your eye on as potential all-conference guy because he's going to be a playmaker. I think that we're in a safer scheme, though, which will allow him to gamble more and be a beneficiary of that because it was he had for every West Virginia, amazing pick. Because, how many corners did you see last year with one-handed interceptions like that? Who else was doing that, right?
It was
That
just him.
type
He
of
just owned that one.
raw athleticism and track speed, right? But now, now that he's not being left on Gilligan's Island every play and there's actually going to be some safety help, maybe he can take some more risk. And I just want to see these guys. You see him as a return man, he's very instinctive, and I think as a defender, he's going to be a very instinctive player as well for us. I kind of see him in my mind, and I could be way off on this. I kind of see Jalen Green kind of more of our man, Byron Jones, just lock up, do the dirty work. Who's their number one? All right, I'm on it. And then I kind of see Deshaun Jameson, whether it's the number two or whoever's their their uh, their burner, going on him and just trying to make plays. So the versatility that they have, and then you can't forget about a Kenyatta Watson and his natural frame and skill set that they have. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Looking over here.
I'm in the I think I'm in the minority where I would like Jalen Green on the second best receiver.
Okay.
And then run a double team on their best receivers. That's kind of like what the Patriots do a lot of the times.
Sure.
So I mean that way, I think Jalen Green can shut down the second best receiver by himself. In the Big 12, the receivers are so good that I think the best on best, a lot of the times the game allows the offense the benefit of the doubt. So that's just me. I might be in the minority at that, but just schematically, that's how I'd like to see it.
You always say that's see, if we ever started coaching Jordan's football team and you're the defensive coordinator, I already know, like, that's the thing, Tran. Like, that's how every time we talk about football, you've always said that.
I just like I just think it's just a smart way to handle it. I mean, you're not killing your best man-to-man guy, but you have one low, one over the top covering their best. And I'll take two bodies over one body on their best player any day of the week.
Agree. Pablo, what's good, man? Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you joining the chat. Look, Coach Hand's got a stack bunch on hand. I think they'll be able to produce. Jamar Chase. Oh, Darius just chimed in and said Jamar Chase in Death Valley. Yeah. I don't know. You're going to have a whole ass bracket on him. It's funny. I've been talking with our LSU friends, and I know at some point Black Dog and some of those other guys that we were dealing with last year are going to come in and say stuff. So I welcome them. I've been talking with Billy. Billy wants to talk to you, Tran, and have a round table. So we'll have to set that up and get him on here so he can, because I say all that because our LSU friends, Billy's over here telling me in the background, he's like, hey, Steve, we just going to reload. We a factory now. It ain't gonna be. We still got Sting. He been telling me about Sting. He thinks Sting's the best defensive player in the country now.
He is. I agree with him. No, I agree with him. I have never seen and I'm a huge Earl Thomas fan. Earl wasn't even as good as him that young. And
not as a true freshman.
Yeah, Stingley is
because Earl was I believe Earl was a redshirt freshman.
Yeah,
but Sting is. Yeah, we're gonna have to deal with Sting. We're gonna have to deal with Jamar Chase.
They lost 17 players to the NFL. They may be a factory, but I don't think it's going to be reloaded right away. That's hard to replicate what you guys did last year. Definitely, I'd love to jump on the chat with him, but that's really hard to reload that talent.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I mean, the LSU, so just early kind of paying attention to what's going on over there. Often one of the things that people sleep on LSU is what they return on their offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a lot of guys that started and play a lot of games. I think Cushenberry is the only one that left, if he did leave or not. I can't even remember, but they added Eric Gilbert, who's one of the best players in the country out of high school at tight end. Jamar Chase, obviously. Excuse me. But the question is Miles Brennan. The two questions is Miles Brennan and our good friend, the former Dallas Cowboys coordinator, Scott Linehan. Because that's where I will continue to challenge Billy on when they come in here. Y'all lost Joe Brady. Friday Truth is saying it right now. Joe Brady was the X factor as far as I'm concerned. And we're going to find out. I said this the last chat. Joe Brady's with Carolina Panthers now, and Joe Burrow's gone to Cincinnati. We're going to find out.
I think losing Burrow is the X factor. I mean, we watched that game together, and what did we say? Joe Burrow was damn near perfect that game,
Hmm.
and
Didn't blink.
he did. He play. I mean, how hard is it to replicate what he did last year? It's damn near impossible, honestly.
Hmm.
Well, Miles Brennan put up a good effort. I'm sure because everyone's saying that he's better than Burrow. It's kind of hard to believe on
Who's
that.
saying he's better? No, I don't think anybody's saying. I
I,
think they just think
I've
that they.
just different LSU fans. They're like, oh, just wait till he comes. Just wait till he comes. Wait till they unleash him on everyone. I'm like, this guy's a Heisman Trophy winner, landslide Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah,
I
you had
don't.
damn near
Yeah, it's gonna be
70
hard.
touchdowns. You're not. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, you get to throw to Jamar Chase, so that's that's already like 20 touchdowns right there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, again, I liked where we were last year when we went in and played them when we were healthy. To be honest, even though we lost, like I liked
Yeah.
where we were. So going down there now, I like our team. I like the fact that we have so many guys with experience, so many versatile guys. We haven't even talked about Chris Adamora. I saw a play, the Brian Davis tweet today of the play he made in the Utah game where he's lined up at nickel and he covers Utah's main man 45, 50 yards downfield and gets a PBU like it's nothing. So the competent pass coverage we'll have compared to where we were last year, even from like communication issues that we had, I think a lot of that stuff gets cleaned up, and they're helped by scheme. That's why Tom Herman. That's where I want to end. That's why Tom Herman made the decisions he made, guys, was to move over to being the CEO, the overseer, like Coach O is, right? Letting these other guys come in. I don't need to be the smartest person in the room because I think I texted you the other day about what's going on at UCLA
Yeah.
with Chip and the players. I don't know if they're trying to make a union out there or what, but the
May
players,
that coach rest in peace soon.
and it's just like, what the hell's going on over there? But do you remember when Chip Kelly? Because I'm glad we got to reminisce about all these ex college football players. Because Dennis Dixon was one of those guys,
Mm-hmm.
right? And some of y'all might laugh when I say this next name, Jeremiah Masoli,
Mm-hmm.
who was a quarterback there, and I think ended up going to Ole Miss as well. But uh, Darren, what was his name? Darren Thompson. I think that's the one he took to the national championship. Like Chip Kelly, at one point in time, was the smartest person in the room. At one point in time, then he went to the Eagles. He goes 10-6 his first year. Nick Foles goes what 27 touchdowns to 2 picks, and then everything just fell apart. Well, he gets fired, he goes to 49ers, gets fired, UCLA still sucks. And I just think that he didn't learn what Tom Herman's already learned, right? Which is at some point you're not always going to be the smartest person in the room, and that's okay. I rather be the person in the room that has the most talent and at some point has one of the smartest people in the room. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like he was like, you know what, Mike Yursich, you're one of the smartest people in the room, so let me go hire that guy. I just need to make sure that guy's on the staff and is heard, because we've had smart coaches on staff before and they haven't been heard. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. But being able to have a guy like that on staff, you see some of the young coaches that they're starting to focus on developing, like a Jay Valai and some of the other guys behind the scenes. That's what Tom Herman's got to hone in on and be that big time game day coach and just overseeing stuff and letting your dogs hunt. That's the way I look at it, Tran. UCLA would come with us if there's conference realignment. Yeah, the conference realignment conversation is going to be a real one too, guys. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this chat, because we're almost coming up on 2 hours. This has flown by. The conference realignment chat is like, yo, with everything changing with COVID and the world that we're in, the framework that we're in, now's the time where people are going to start saying, do we go to the 4 super regional conferences? Like, what's all this going to look like coming out of this? Very, very interesting. I agree, Pablo. Chris Ash too, having Power Five coaching experience and failing is important. Mac Brown, like you said,
Yes.
Mac.
So okay, can we touch on Ash failing?
Oh, go ahead.
There's a lot of coaches out there that can't coach, be a head coach, but they're great not position coaches, but coordinators. Will Muschamp, I would put under there, and I thought he was a fantastic defensive coordinator. He hasn't really put it together as a head coach yet,
He
but
was
we would
so
take
good
him.
that we named him coach in waiting.
Yep. So I mean, this could be a blessing in disguise that he just didn't do anything at Rutgers, and he's just focused on one side of the ball at this point. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I talk too much as it is. I just get so excited about these things because it's fun, and we're talking ball, and we need ball back to save the world, quite frankly, because everybody's losing their damn mind. Yeah, I mean, all these coaches, man. I'm just reading through the chat. Charlie Strong was a great defensive coordinator for Kansas. Y'all are all one. Charlie, isn't he a analyst at Alabama now?
I think so.
Something like that.
I read somewhere that was it him that is getting in trouble for his time at South Florida, or one
They're
of his
trying
coaches?
to figure. I think. Well, I don't know about getting in trouble. I just heard at South Florida they were trying to figure out how to get some of their money back, or get not money back, but get out of paying out the buyout, the full buyout.
So he has two buyouts. He has a Texas buyout and that.
His Texas buyout's probably done by
It's
now.
done, yeah. But I mean,
Yeah. Hey, man. Coach, they say it's an amateur sport, but these dudes got millions and millions of dollars.
Good for him. Make your money.
Get your money.
Make it illegal.
Anything else we need to touch on? We'll have a different recruiting video. I know we didn't, I know Coffee came through and Ishmael and all those guys. But right now, with us being so close to the season, recruiting's in a weird spot as it is right now because we haven't had the camps we typically would have. There's been some stuff going on. Some of these kids have had some ridiculous recruitments going on behind the scenes, but I do think as we get closer to ball, and if Texas comes out playing well, that'll help close the gap on the Brockermeyers. I know, right now everybody's like, hey, they're Alabama strong, but with us having those Texas ties, it's never, we're not out of the picture there. Is Louisville still paying strong? Y'all are
no. He left Louisville for us.
Right.
So the Brockmeyers, their dad was a legend here at Texas. His brother's here.
Peter, horns always up, brother. Thank you.
If we put Cosme high draft pick, I think that might be enough to sway their minds,
That's where the negative recruiting is coming in against Texas, right? When you haven't had a first round pick since Malcolm Brown, 2014. We say it all the time. We had 3 first round picks in the 2010s. That's what people are using against you. It's not the city of Austin. Mm-hmm. It's not the Princely said the Big 12 is a factor there, but their argument for the Big 12 being a factor is that the Big 12 is not producing NFL players. They go hand in hand, right? So it's that at the end of the day, the negative recruiting that's going on is the NFL stuff. And Texas is still getting top 3, top 5, top 10 classes anyway. So get those guys in the league, get them paid, and you'll stack up. It's not difficult in terms of what we're thinking of. So I see we have 90 people in here now. I was trying to wrap.
Yeah.
And I know, Tran, you got to wake up at dawn to lift.
No, cardio. I will just let me know when we're going to drop because I do want to ask one last question to you. So
All right.
just
You want to
slimming
go?
it.
Y'all want to end at an even 2 hours?
So 10 more minutes.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, let's go.
I mentioned Quinn Ewers earlier, gamer from South Lake Carroll. Somebody asked me about him. Somebody asked me about him earlier, the South Lake Carroll quarterback, and I was like, he reminds me of like baby Matthew Stafford. But again, I'm not super amped and focused on recruiting right now, although he's a dynamite prospect and is big time as a quarterback recruit the state has had maybe since Matthew Stafford. So we'll see. But Tran, go ahead.
Let me see. No, I'm just looking at it. Charlie Strong. Damn, I remember Charlie Strong standing in the stool meme.
Ask your question, and then we can go back to talking about all the other college football people we didn't mention that haven't made it.
Oh,
that
yeah.
never made it.
That works. So my question was, season starts tomorrow. Are you and I
Oh,
going to the games?
I'm getting some feedback.
I said, can you hear now?
Yeah.
Okay, so season starts tomorrow. Are you and I going to the games? Are you and I going to be at the games?
The question everybody wants to know. I think within the realm of where we're at, I think it depends. For me personally, it depends on how many people are going to be let in. If we're at somewhere like, I think the NASCAR race was what, 25% at Talladega. How many people did they have in there?
I think 35,000, something like that, which is around like 25%.
I think it depends on the percentages for me. Look, I'm ride or die, and I can cover and watch UT here or there, and I want to be there, no doubt about it.
Yeah, same here.
But we have families,
Yep.
right? And it's bigger than if I was a single guy, but again, it's not even just that. It's also everybody around you, and just when you go. I would want to know. I will want to know how they're handling lines. I would want to know how the tailgate aspect will be handled.
I'll tell you this: I wouldn't do the tailgates this year.
So, answer your own question, or would you go? Period.
Yeah, I would go. I mean, we really, the only interaction we have are with people who watch the channel. Honestly, like touch interaction, and if it's like people are saying, I know it started off at 25%. Oh, we could do 50%, and then I did hear at one point it was like 70% we're going to be. But I mean, 50%, I think that's a safe enough distance that people can enjoy themselves at the game.
Within the stadium, but
yeah.
How are they going to handle people coming in? Or how, like, are we going to have to show up, 4 hours early, 5 hours early to the game? Like, Oscar's asking about, do we have to wear the mask all game? I'm pretty sure you would have to wear the mask while you're there. All those types of questions. Like, I'm personally not, if I got the virus or I'm not personally worried about myself. I think with my immune system, I can defeat it. It's just those others in my life who may not have the strongest immune system. So it's interesting. I mean, it's going to be tough, man, because
there's
LSU.
nothing like going to the game, man.
No,
there's nothing like
that
it.
energy, that feel, man. Absolutely. Restaurants are at 75% right now. Yeah, bars are open. I live in Domain. For those, I don't know if anybody knows where Domain is in Austin, but I live in the Domain, man. Like, I see it. Shoot, I see it. Like,
yeah, you told me it was like what was it? New Year's,
night,
the first night.
it was like worse than New Year's. The very first night at Domain open, and it was like funny. I went downstairs to walk the dogs, and it was like all hell broke loose. Like, there was fire trucks and ambulances. I mean, people have been in quarantine for so long. It was just, there's no time to be single or whatever, just out there, just getting it in and doing whatever, see people out there hunting, so it's interesting. But again, you know, I know people that have been impacted by the virus, especially on the East Coast.
Yes, I do think that the stadium being at 50% capacity would help us in Death Valley.
Well, 1,000%, 1,000%. You know, and they've already. I don't even care because once they started, I'm talking about LSU people. Once they started throwing out those lies about the AC, I don't care if they can't fill up their stadium. That's not my problem. I will go to the game. Yeah, Domain is dope. It's been a real fun place to live. And I mean, it was sad the 3 months we were there in quarantine and nobody was able to come through. But since it's been back open, just around there, it's been nuts. I haven't even gone downtown yet. So just how everything's been. I mean, the same people that go to the bar, if you're already out there and you're already going out, the games aren't going to restrict you. Well, now what does concern me is that the numbers. You look at Texas as a whole, and what Greg Abbott is facing with the numbers rising. I know the last thing he wants to do is to go back on his word and start shutting stuff down or closing anything. He's been an advocate to play and wants the economy to come back, but there's the medical concern, and these are the debates our leadership in the country are having. So we'll see. I appreciate you guys jumping on. We'll let that tiger loose. Oh,
That's
man.
hilarious.
I'm sorry we didn't get to. I mean, all the you know, all the talk was UT, but that's okay. Basketball's coming back, so our Spurs will be in the tournament, minus LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott signed his extension, so you know, are we one step closer to getting him a long-term deal? We'll see come July 16th, I believe.
We shall see.
Yeah,
We made them the highest paid player ever for Cowboys for
for
1 year.
Cowboys. Yeah.
For 1 year.
I mean, and that's the other thing too. Speaking of the Cowboys, like they had 8 people test positive. You know, I know Zeke was pissed that his got out there, but the Houston Texans had players test positive. You know, so do they just mix it up and say, hey, better now than in the fall, and we'll be all right? We'll see. Brian T, Nicholas, thank you guys for coming through. Really appreciate y'all. Really appreciate y'all. For those of you, you know, that have been rocking with us for some time now, you know, we're kind of in between. Like I said, with the Bosses Ranch stuff, it was, you know, we're battling the HEB co-packing situation. Hopefully, we can get something figured out. We do have something potentially in the works for a new sponsor to come on board, which would be pretty cool. So no official announcements or anything there yet. But overall, I mean, just thankful to have this time with y'all and to be talking ball again. So
yeah,
a lot going on. I know we spent a lot of time at the beginning talking Anthony Cook. For those who've missed it, please hit the chat, or you can look at the recording of the video and check us out there. Can we get these chats once a week if possible? We'll try to get back to that. I think you know, life has just been coming at us in crazy ways, but definitely try to get back to that because I think it's good and fun to, especially when we start going on tangents talking about former college players. That was a lot of fun. We might have to do a whole video on that. All the people that we loved in college
that did nothing with their lives.
that just never made it, man. Just never, something happened or something, or just, you know, like when somebody was talking about JT Barrett, that was a great one. You know, not that long ago. Dr. Janelle, thank you. Be safe out there. Thank you. I appreciate your continued support. Brian T with the donation, $50. Thank you. God bless y'all, man, for supporting the channel. Connor, you've been day one, A1.
Yep.
All you guys. Brian T, really, no, in all seriousness, it goes a long way. the donations for the channel, and some of the things we have planned on doing. We will be getting Matthew back when I get back to Austin. So Tran and I can record
Is he
together.
back in town?
He is back in town. Tran, I've only seen you one time since quarantine.
Yeah, when we went to
So,
the lake.
yeah. Yeah. So we'll actually be back to recording and doing stuff. So Taylor, all you guys, CPAT, Trey, guys, appreciate y'all. We'll end right at the 2 hour mark. Horns always up. Appreciate y'all.
You will not. Some of these comments are hilarious.